Welcome back to another episode of the Todd Durkin Impact Show Goes Global. That's right. It's been 2024. It's been all across the globe. And we coming at you live right now from Miami, Florida. That's right. The Impact Show has gone down to Miami, Florida. And I'm with my man right here, Justin Roethlingshoefer. That's right. You're going to learn all about Justin and what he's doing across the land. And I'm so excited to have Justin, well, I was going to say in the house, but I'm in your place right now. So welcome to the show, brother.
Oh, it's so great to have you here. I'm just excited that we get to actually be together and like break bread together and be in the same ecosystem, the same environment, and feed off each other's energy. This is great.
It is going to be awesome. And buckle up your bootstraps. You haven't worked out. You may want to go for a workout and pump some iron while you're listening to this. Justin is not only a strength and conditioning coach and a trainer, but now he's igniting people on many different levels, mindset-wise, physically, spiritually. And the reason why I'm down in Miami, Florida right now, and I just flew down from New York into Miami because Justin has a great retreat called Redeemed, kicking off tomorrow. Man, it's less than 24 hours away as I record this live. I'll be speaking at Redeemed at Justin's event here, and I wanted to capture him for the Impact Show to not only share about what Redeemed is. I know you got a big book coming out in April. I want to talk about that and man, introduce you to our audience because we have some great people listening in from all over the globe today. So if you're ready to get started, we're gonna go there, brother.
I love it. Let's roll.
Well,
deep. I'm not a surface guy. I like to say I'm a snorkeler.
Hey.
I like to get deep. I'm a scuba diver, baby.
Well, quick background. Why don't you share your background, because I first knew of you as a strength and conditioning coach, and you've evolved immensely in the last several years. But your background.
Yeah, born and raised in Canada.
Yep.
I mean,
What part?
Edmonton, actually.
Edmonton.
Yeah, Edmonton.
You're an
Oilers
Eskimo.
fan. I am an Eskimo.
An Eskimo now, Oilers.
Edmonton.
Yeah, I guess I should say Oilers because that's the hockey.
That's the hockey component.
I'm thinking CFL.
But you know what? The Eskimos, they were huge, and I mean now they're the Elks.
That's right. They're not the Eskimos.
Now they're the Elks. So it's we were the Edmonton football team for a while. We took after the Washington football team.
So did you grow up a big Wayne Gretzky fan, or was that way before that?
So actually, I was born the year that he was traded from Edmonton.
Oh.
So 1988.
Now,
So
is it true in Edmonton when you're born and the first gift is a hockey stick?
it's skates. You're born with skates on.
Okay, you're born with skates on. So born in Edmonton.
Yeah, born in Edmonton, and knew I wanted to be a hockey player. I grew up with a viciously praying mother, and so like just amazingly gifted in a home that I grew up in.
Okay.
And I learned just to hear God's voice very early in my life. And at 11, I heard from God distinctly, "Hey, Justin, you're going to redeem the health of the world." And just something I've held really deep and true to my heart ever since. And knowing I wanted to be a hockey player, kept at it, and had a little bit of talent. At 12, was playing with 14, 15-year-olds. And my dad said to me after a car ride home, he said, "Son, talent will get you noticed, but consistency will get you paid." And at that moment, something clicked for me. And I said, how do I become the most consistent version of me? What does that look like? How do I become this? What can I control in my ecosystem? And I became obsessed with the human body. I became obsessed with how I slept, what I ate, how I trained, how I behaved, what my habits were. I tracked heart rate variability. I tracked my pulse.
Wait, at how old?
13, 14 years old.
Really?
Tracked heart rate variability, tracked brainwave states, tracked.
What?
You had a pulse oximeter that I slept with a heart rate monitor
Who were
on.
you learning from?
I read. That was it. That's all I did was read. Was reading medical journals,
At 13,
14 years old. I was reading medical journals. Everybody else was reading comic books. I was the weird kid, and I continued to parlay that right up until college. Like I came down to the States on a hockey scholarship, and at this point, this is 2006, 2007. Like you don't really have a strength coach that's really guiding you, right, in any of these areas. And so I had been tracking heart rate, wearing heart rate monitors while I was playing, while I was skating, while I was training, while I was sleeping, since I was 13, 14. So this is now 5-6 years that I've got 5-6 years of data that I understand my body. I understand what's actually happening. I'm understanding training load. I'm understanding stimulus response repair. I'm understanding these items. I'm understanding stress and recovery. And I became obsessed with it. I became obsessed with the numbers and the data. And as my playing career came to an end and I went into the coaching realm.
Before you get there, where'd you go to college?
Westfield State University.
Where's that?
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Okay. And what did you study there?
So did double undergraduate degree, did exercise science and nutrition. So came away with 2 undergraduate degrees.
Wow. Okay.
Then went and got my master's degree at the University of Louisville in exercise physiology with a concentration in sports performance. Yeah. And then went on to do my postgraduate research in heart rate variability, sleep, and recovery science.
Wow.
And so,
as if 1 degree wasn't enough, you had to get 2, and they go, "I got you."
Well, then I just continued to go because I wanted to know. But I say all of that not to say that I became intelligent. What happened was the further I got down the road, I was like, this doesn't make sense. So I then went and got my massage therapy license because I knew there was something to do. I didn't know that. There was something to do with the body. There was something deeper. There was something more holistic. It wasn't enough just to change the way you ate, change the way you slept, change the way that you trained. Yep. Because I had been tracking these numbers for so long and nothing really ever changed. It was deeper than that. There was something more holistic to this thing. And so I continued to dive deeper. I got into the functional medicine world. I got into the cellular science and DNA.
All in your 20s.
All in my 20s.
Yep.
DNA, epigenetic side of things. I wanted to know. I wanted to become a master at this. And when I was at Louisville, I really got my first opportunity to be, you know what I say? I got my first opportunity to be wrong. Tina Murray was the director of strength and conditioning, director of sports science. And she brought me in under her wing and she allowed me to try what I had only ever done on myself. She allowed me to actually implement this on the athletes, the teams, and the players. Interesting. And why I say she allowed me to be wrong, because she didn't have to trust me. This was all new. This was very foreign. This is 2009, 2010, 2011. Like this is way before the times of where you've got Whoop and Aura and Catapult and all of these data points that are now active. It's nobody knew any of this stuff. Yep. And so I'm sitting here trying to teach her about heart rate variability. I'm sitting here trying to teach her about training load and monitoring different heart rate zones during training and putting a practice plan together based on loads and building this. She's like,
and you're 25 years old with 12 years experience.
And she's exactly. And she's like, there's something to this. Like, I want you to keep playing with the numbers. I want you to keep doing this. And she gave me leeway. And she gave me like this zone to make errors and to grow. And I became thirsty for more. From there, I ultimately went to Miami of Ohio, where I was the director of strength and conditioning for the men's hockey program. And we suddenly took injury rates down. We took sickness rates down. It was my first opportunity to run a program. I'm 25 years old and built a weight room from scratch. I turned it literally into a sports science facility with all the testing and data and equipment you could imagine. It was a blessing to be able to do that. Sure. But that then vaulted me into the world of hockey, where I started consulting for Columbus, started doing some work and consulting with Washington, got an opportunity in Anaheim, and really started to build this understanding and following and practical application of what's actually going on. And something funny happened in 2019, 2020, when this voice came back. And I heard God say, when are you going to stop serving the audience you want to and start serving the audience that I called you to? And that was the moment that I was like, it has become about ego. It has become about me. It has become about having that logo on my chest. It has become about being at a certain level and being seen as the NHL guy or being seen as the guy who works with the elites. But rather, what I realized was what I was solving for: habits changes, consistency, intentionality, personalization, N of one solutions. It wasn't an athlete issue I was solving. It's a human problem. And when I realized that, it gave me the confidence to step away, knowing that that was what God has called me to. That was what God had ultimately shaped me for. I was in my Jesus Carpenter years. For in my 20s, going through Louisville, going through Miami, going through the NHL, starting to really just master this, get this philosophy, get this system down, so that we knew, hey, DNA epigenetic cellular testing actually comes across and correlates very heavily with what's happening with HRV as soon as we can understand sleep quality and what I call the 8 foundational principles, or the 8 functionalities: sleep, nutrition, hydration, exercise, training, environment, self-care, mindset, and immune function. We can optimize these. We can pull different levers. We have a way to control and take ownership of our health. We no longer just have to pass it on to the medical system. We no longer just have to pass it on to the influencer. We no longer just have to pass it on to what we randomly think is okay and live a life by default, but we can take ownership. Ownership was what I call the intersection point of responsibility and accountability, so that we can now step into a life that is completely different than what we knew before. We don't have to live in the space of what I call fake health, disease-free, but symptom-full. The headaches, the nausea, the weight gain, the irritability, the overwhelm, the inability to sleep, the fatigue, these are symptoms of the way that we've been behaving. But up until now, we've just called them normal.
Yep.
That's what 45 looks like. That's what 50 looks like. That's what it takes to be an entrepreneur. That's what it looks like to run a family. That's what it looks like to be a mom, a dad, to run a team of 200. Whatever your outcomes are, whatever your circumstances are, we've been told that that's normal, but that's a lie. It's what the world has told us is normal, but it's not how we've been designed. But it's simply because we've been living a life by default and haven't been stewarding this thing that we've been given, that we've been blessed with, to go and impact in a very unique way, because we've been treating ourselves like everybody else.
Can you see why I love this guy? Can you see why? I'm just sitting back, by the way. The Todrick and Impact Show has been taken over by my man, Justin Roethlingshoefer. You're like, who is this guy? And TD keeps sitting back and let the man preach a little bit. But you can see why I love him and why I want him on the show. And while we're recording this, I don't know, it's late at night, and I'm like, Justin, we got to get this thing in. And he's still fired up, and he hasn't even kicked off the retreat yet. But we're going to go into some of those principles. But before we do that, because I loved feeling your energy and passion. Did y'all feel that? Because I know y'all thought to yourself, who is this guy? Justin Roethlingshoefer. Don't worry. You're going to hear all about him and what he's doing, and you're going to hear more about some things we got coming up. But I need to step back before we move forward, because I know you want to hear more about those 8 and everything else. But number one, massage therapy school. I didn't know you went to massage therapy school. I went to massage therapy school. I love massage therapy school. How did that experience, how did it and does it impact you today from what you learned in the different side of, strength and conditioning and all the science, the kinesiology, X-Phys, and then you go to massage therapy school. I went 95. You went,
2006.
Yep. So what's your takeaway from massage therapy school?
It was eye-opening,
Yeah.
because what you were able to see was how when you change, we literally have the power to heal.
Yep.
We have the power to heal.
Yep.
And I think people often just, again, give the power away. They give the power away without knowing that when you can actually understand what's going on inside the body, when you understand that the shoulder's connected to the hip, connected to the knee, connected to the ankle, connected to the heart, man, everything changes, because you have the ability to heal people. But it's the way that we're living that actually breaks us down. And that when there's dis-ease within the body, it creates disease. And so if we can create ease of movement, ease of posture, ease of pain release, we're ultimately able to extract all of the disease that would be happening. And that just opened up my eyes in such a big way. It's not enough to know that, this is your pec minor, this is your pec major, this is your rhomboid. It's not enough to
origin
know
of the insertion.
It's not enough to know these. It's not enough to know these. We have to understand, how do we actually manipulate? How do we? There's massive impact, and I don't want to get woo, because it's a God thing. It's truly a spiritual thing. But there is, when you are able to feel the energy of somebody else that's able to come in and start creating true healing in somebody, it creates massive change. And it's not just you or I that have a magic power. We all have it. We all have it. But none of us are courageous enough to step into it, and we've allowed the medical system to cloud our mind, to think that we are sick, to think that there's something wrong with us. But in actuality, we're just earning our illness because of how we're living, rather than earning our health because of how we're living.
Man, preach it. Y'all see why I wanted Justin on here. because when I think about massage therapy school, I think the power of touch.
Yep.
And even in the last couple of years in 2020 and one, when you couldn't touch people,
Yeah.
touch, and it shows me way back even in 99 when I did my graduate thesis work on the physiological and psychological effects of massage therapy and touch on stress and anxiety, the power of touch. And you just talked about healing on that. So I really enjoy that. Where did you go to massage therapy school?
In Louisville.
In Louisville.
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
My second point before moving forward, I just have to, you had your stint in the NHL and you bounced around a little bit. I just have to bring up my man, Mark Fitzgerald. He's the one who initially connected us way back in the day. And Mark is one heck of a strength and conditioning coach and doing great things, not only in the hockey world, but in the entire conditioning world. What was your experience like with Mark Fitzgerald?
He was awesome. I first got and again, I'm a big fan of men of their word.
Yep.
And that's Fitzy.
Yeah.
Fitzy's just a man of his word. We met for the first time in 2014 at a NSCA hockey conference in Colorado Springs. And as we sat with one another, we started talking. We really dove deep into a lot of the science stuff that I was talking about, the heart rate variability and heart rate monitoring, training load, the load monitoring, all these things. And he's like, man, I love what you're talking about. I love what's going on here. And he was still with the Marlies at the time. He was in Toronto.
Yeah.
And he said, there's going to be a time where like, I want to hire you. Like, I want to bring you in. And because this is really unique. And sure as heck, as soon as he went into Anaheim, we had a conversation that same year, and away I went. And so he was the guy that really gave me, again, an opportunity to step into what I loved. And again, when I say like allowed me to fail, like he allowed me at the top level, the highest level of hockey, to be able to hand the reins over to somebody like myself in the sports science, the data management side of things, and just go and be able to do what I loved and be able to do what I did. And he's really
the one thing
amazing.
I'll say about Mark, and I got to know Mark Fitzgerald through Under Armour.
Yep.
He was with the Under Armour Canada performance side of things. And I don't know if this is indigenous for all Canadians, but you Canadians are always science-based. And I love, like, Mark would always bring me some new companies that he's working with nutritionally, or even on the BFR side or whatever it may be. And he always had some cutting edge companies he was working with.
But you know what he does is he's one of those guys that you call, he's an early adopter.
Yes.
He's somebody who he can call the BS when he sees it.
That's right. Yeah.
But if there's something valid to it, he's like, let me try it.
Yep.
He's not afraid. He's not set in his ways where it's like, no, this is the only way it has to happen. It's like, well, talk to me about that.
Yeah.
Show me that. Prove to me that it's not going to work, basically.
Yeah. Well, shout out to him, because he's one of the guys that, he's a coach's coach, and he's a great
time.
strength and conditioning coach. And I love Mark. Let's fast forward to what you're doing now. You have a lot of different hats. You're speaking, you're coaching, you're leading retreats. You got a lot of different things. Give us a little picture of the life of Justin now and what you're doing, because it's progressed even in the last 4 years into the world that you live in today.
Yeah, it's been an absolute blessing. I mean, my wife and I run a company together called Own It. Think a health and performance coaching company that pairs together everything that would have only been accessible to elite athletes. You've got your testing, you've got your technology, and you've got your coaching. 3 very elite components that are now all completely intersected, looking at mental, physical, spiritual, emotional health, and how do we make that whole in somebody? How do we make that whole in everyone? And so what we've done as Own It is we've democratized high performance. We've democratized this thing that forever so many people have been after, but the world has just sold them one-off solutions or partial solutions we've now been able to bring it all together. Let's do your DNA testing. Let's do your cellular testing. Let's identify what you're missing. Let's create custom formulated supplementation built off of that for you. Now let's track heart rate variability and sleep quality. Let's have a coach that holds your hand and guides you on habit behavior change, so that habit and behavior change is the foundation to what we build it on. It's on a foundation of rock, not a foundation of sand, where we're just trying to do all these gimmicky tools and gimmicky supplements and gimmicky things that we say are going to get you a result, but we're building it on a ton of bad habits. We're building it on things that don't actually work, that don't actually get us to where we want to go, and just leaves you in this state of confusion. And so for us, we've been just extremely blessed over the last 2.5 years, growing from a company of just my wife and I to a team of 45. And
wait, 2.5 years ago?
Oh yeah,
it was 2 of you.
Oh yeah,
and there's 45.
It's crazy. It's crazy, just the way in which it's grown, the way in which we've moved through, from full-time people to 1099s to ops people working in the back supporting us. It's been amazing.
What's the biggest part of the company?
So I mean, within our company now, we serve B2B, so we serve companies and corporations.
Okay.
So companies and corporations where we'll go in and run workshops and then actually be their new health and performance team. So think of like new age corporate wellness, if you will.
Yep.
It's no longer just get them a gym membership, but now no, let's actually support them mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, help them understand how to live and create a high performance culture in that workplace.
Yep.
Then we've got B2C, which is exactly what I kind of just walked you through. Let's get you either in one-on-one coaching where we're doing testing, custom supplementation, and then get you with a coaching team to help guide you through understanding your body. We can either do that in a one-on-one component, or we can do that in a small group cohort component and really help take you along in that route. So you have the two options in the B2C component of it. We then have an athletics arm of our business where we're working with NCAA programs. We're working with Major League Baseball, NHL, NFL teams. Really, that's going to be more on like your testing side and your consulting side, helping to guide and educate and bring them up in that side of things. And then lastly, we have a retreats side of our business, where we bring people in for what we call almost like holistic overhaul, where they come in, we bring them to Costa Rica, we bring them to Mexico, we bring them to beautiful resorts in the US, and we're there for 5 days. We do all of your testing before you get there. We custom formulate all your supplementation. We custom build your meal plans. We go through all of your testing while you're there. Yoga, meditation, breath work, workouts, a lot of education, a lot of one-on-one work. We do some counseling while we're there, mentally and emotionally. And then my wife and I together run something called the Couples Collective, which focuses on the 5 domains of health: healthy mind, healthy body, healthy soul, healthy family, healthy marriage for entrepreneurial couples. And so that's really everything that we have going on within the ecosystem of Own It, that really builds people up to democratize what health truly is.
Man. You all are probably trying to digest that, because I knew 90% of it, not all of it. Who would be a person that is right for one of your programs?
To be honest with you, it's somebody who's wanting to elevate themselves, take themselves from where they are. They know they don't feel as well as they could, but they don't understand this thing they're living in. They're like, I don't understand why I don't sleep well. TD, I don't understand why I need to take a nap in the afternoon. I don't understand why I have brain fog. I don't understand why I think about something in here. I walked to the kitchen and I forgot why I went in there. I don't understand why I used to.
Is that everybody?
It's a lot of people.
There's a lot of people. Not everyone.
It's a lot of people, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And it's simply because of the habits and behaviors you have. That does not have to be your reality. And so there's small tweaks and small things that we have to come back to. And we can dive into heart rate variability, but HRV,
what's interesting is what started at 12 years old is really what you're doing now.
Totally.
Right? All of that from your teens through your 20s into a field of strength and conditioning has led to what I always just call, peak performance is on that aspect. And how do you weave in faith? Faith is a big part of who you and your wife are, and it's great to spend time with her today as well. But how do you guys weave faith into all of this?
Yeah, so for us, I think this is the cool thing. You're familiar with John Maxwell.
Of course.
So John Maxwell says he is not a Christian company.
Mm-hmm.
He's a leadership company.
Yep.
But at his events, he'll have 5,000 people come to his events. On the last day of the event, he'll throw an optional worship service that he'll have 2,000 to 3,000 people show up at. And at the end of the service, he'll have an altar call, and he'll have 700 to 1,200 people give their lives to Jesus.
Wow.
And it's only because you get to see how people are changing, how people are operating. In our company, the way that we lead our leadership team, the way that we operate internally, we love on people. We love on people. We show them the love that Jesus would have shown. We are tolerable. We lead by how we live. Goes back to Romans 12 verses 1 and 2. A lot of people hear it as like, this is your body, use it in the way that would be holy and pleasing to God. Don't conform to the patterns of this world, but rather allow your mind to be transformed. Well, there's actually 7 words in there that hit me right in the chest. And it's, this is your true and proper worship. So it's great to memorize biblical scriptures. It's great to go into church on Sundays, but there's a lot of church hurt out there. There's a lot of people that won't step into those doors. Yep. This is true and proper worship. How are you living? How are you living? What decisions are you making? What habits do you have? How do you show up day in and day out? How do you love on people? How do you do these things? And so for us within our company, it's really helping people create that life by design. How are you living? And simply by living better, simply by living more intentionally, simply by living more consistently, simply by living more purposefully, you are at your core being very spiritual.
Yeah.
Simply changing that. And so as we do that, here's the cool part. We now heal people. People come in with chronic aches and pains. They come in with chronic headaches. They come in with chronic fatigue. They come in knowing they just don't feel well, knowing that they've been pushing and stressing and working so hard for so long that their bodies are depleted, and we are able to heal them and bring them back. When they were hopeless, we give them hope. And so when you do that for somebody, guess what now happens? Tell me a little bit more about like what you got going on, because I want what you've got.
Yeah.
I want what you've got. I want what you've got. Well, you know what? I gave you all the secrets. Now that you asked me, let me actually tell you the real thing.
Yeah.
And that's how it goes. And so that's the cool part about this, is that just by being around, just by hearing how I talk, hearing me on social media, hearing me on my podcast, I don't change. I'm very bold. I'm not ashamed of my faith, of my relationship. And we don't have to go down this road, but I think there's a vast difference between a religion and the way that the world tells us faith should be done to a relationship.
Yep.
And
Paul.
And I say I don't abide by a religion. I abide by a relationship with Jesus. And how I say, what people are like, well, what's the difference? Like, what's the difference?
Let's go.
What ends up happening is, I get emotional when I tell this story, is, have you crashed a car before?
I haven't.
No, you haven't. You're like the first person I've asked that to. Have you ever been in a car accident?
I was in a fender bender.
Okay, there you go.
Yes.
So it's like TD's in a fender bender. Or if you at home have gotten in a car accident.
I was trying to say yes. I crashed a car, but I can't think. Like, I don't think I crashed.
Okay,
I was in a fender bender.
TD was in a fender bender. You're in that fender bender, and religion is like, oh my gosh, I gotta call my dad. He's going to be mad. He's going to be angry. He's going to take my car away. I didn't follow the rules. I should have not been following so closely, or I should have not been on my phone and stopped short, so they hit me in the back. Like, I wasn't following the rules. I'm going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
That's religion. A relationship is the same thing. You get in a car accident, you get in a fender bender, and instead of saying, oh my gosh, I got to call my dad, it's, man, I get to call my dad. He's going to know what to do. He's going to help me.
Yeah.
He's going to give me the direction. He's going to call the people I need. He's going to send help. He's going to fix my car. He's going to make it all better. And so that's the difference between the two. Man. And so when you suddenly have that ability to just connect back and realize that it's not about a set of rules. It's not about a set of standards. It's not about a set of anything that you have to follow and be perfect, but rather a relationship that you're able to have, real communication, real dialogue, real understanding that can shape your life in a completely different way. That's when your life changes.
Man, so aligned with the way you think.
Speaking of opportunity, do I have a great opportunity for you? I recently announced the brand new Todd Durkin Impact Summit live event, the Impact Summit live event, Los Angeles, California, July 11th to the 14th. I would love to have you in the house. Be in the house. I always say, be in the room, be in the room. If you've always been wanting to go to a retreat, a live event with me, and 12 of my closest friends who will be presenting, along with hundreds of other people, this is your opportunity. Carpe diem. The theme is be iconic, be iconic. And what is it going to take for you to step into your most significant and successful self? And you do not have to just be a trainer, coach, or fit pro to be in the house. It doesn't matter what you do for a living, but if you have the desire to get better and you're looking for maximum personal growth and you want to be in the right room, this is the opportunity to be in that room. We have over 10 talks, and these are impact talks if I've ever heard them. We got Podcasters Row. We got workouts every day. We have 3 different parties, count them, 3 different parties, networking events, and our own expo at the Impact Summit. And what a community. Can I talk about the fire-breathing dragons, the mind rate maniacs who will be in the house? You're always thinking, oh, well, the podcast, I just listened to the podcast. If you listen to the podcast, my friends, you're part of the family, and I would love to have you at the Todd Durkin Impact Summit this coming July. Take a look at all the details when you go to todddurkin.com. Look at all the details and sign up now. There are some amazing early bird specials until May 15th. Now, if you don't sign up before May 15th, don't worry. It's still great. But if you sign up before May 15th, not only will you save over $100 on the registration ticket, but you have some and then somes as well that you don't want to miss. So go to todddurkin.com, register today, and guess what? You may want to bring a friend or 2 or 5, a teammate, a colleague, an employee, a family member, someone who would like to get lit up on the inside and have lots of smiles on the outside, because you are going to have the time of your life at the Impact Summit. Check it out now. Impact Summit. Impact Summit. Go to todddurkin.com and let's go back to the show right now.
One of the things I love about you, Justin, is who you are is what you do. Because I've always struggled with people. I've struggled with the thought of, well, what I do is not who I am. I understand that. I get it. But I've also thought, like, man, if I'm a coach or I like to change lives and motivate, inspire people, that's who I am. It's what I do. And I see so much congruence between who you are as a man, since I've known you, and what you do. And what you do, I get it, but it's also who your heart and soul is. So I see that in you, brother. So I just got to acknowledge that, because I've always kind of thought hard about, man, what I do is not who I am. I understand that. I get it. But I also think when you can do what you do because of who you are, it's so simpatico that it works. So just fast forward to Redeemed. We're here at this event, Redeemed. What is Redeemed? And by the time our listeners hear the show, it'll be over. But what is your vision going into this? And what's it all about?
So Redeemed is actually the first faith forward thing that I've ever done. And what I mean by that is, when people say, what is Redeemed? It is the health and performance event where men can activate, strengthen, and deepen their faith. And the reason that I put this together, it actually came up, again, just simply out of obedience. But back in June of 2023, I had, probably in the span of 2 weeks, about 11 men reach out to me. And it was, my sister committed suicide. It was my parents just...
Your sister?
No. Like people...
Someone reached out.
Like these 10 or 11 men. These men were reaching out to me saying, my sister committed suicide. My parents both died in a car accident. My business is going under. I just got taken for a Ponzi scheme for $1 million. Like all of these things that people are like just in big hurt. And God just said, gather men. And I was like, for what? Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, what are we going to do? And so he just said, gather men. And as I sat on that, as I meditated on that, I went to my quiet place, which is where I get my best downloads, which is the sauna. And I sat in the sauna, and all of a sudden it was bring men together, do what you do and go and train together, but worship together.
Love it.
And
Love it.
integrate everything together. And so that's what we do, is we come together for 4 days.
And that's what we're going to do.
That's what we're going to
do.
We're going to challenge ourselves mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And the thing about that is that when you're doing something hard with men, and you're really going to the deep places, you're getting vulnerable, you're leaning into these areas, that's the place that you can start to break chains.
Yeah.
That's the place that you can start to lay things down.
Yeah.
That's the place that you can start to fix and repair bridges that have been burned for so long. And you know that you're no longer alone in these situations. Men oftentimes feel like they have to be a rock.
Yep.
I talk about the difference between a rock and a tree. A rock will take hits, we'll take hits, we'll take hits, we'll take hits, we'll take hits. Well, one day that rock breaks. And there's no putting that rock back together. But if men can be trees, if men can learn to be trees, where you can take an axe to that tree, it blows in the wind, it bends, but it doesn't break. It needs the sunlight from the sun. It needs rain from the clouds. It needs nutrients from the ground. It requires people filling in for it. It requires people to actually be poured into. It requires things getting back. It can still take the beatings. It can have a broken limb, but you know what? It requires you to actually put a stilt on it to hold it up a little bit for a season where you can actually take it away again. That's what we as men have to come back to, is being willing to be vulnerable, being willing to not to show that scars are not weakness. Scars actually show that we've been through something. Scars actually show us that we can actually grow and persevere and grow through something that can ultimately then impact somebody else. And so that's what I want Redeem to be, the health and performance event, bringing people together, because the health and fitness world, the health and performance world, it can be so one-sided. It has found a way to edge God out in everything, because quite often the people who are the best at health and fitness are often the most insecure, because they've had to become this thing, this personality that look a certain way to get rid of a lot of insecurities that were there. For me, I had a massive body image issue for a long time. I was anorexic from 14 to 18 years old.
Wow.
I was always pinching myself, feeling myself. How do I look without a shirt? Like all of these things. It was a massive thing. It overtook my life for a lot of these things. And the reason that I became the health and performance guy, the reason I became so obsessed to it for a certain degree, was because I couldn't stand who I was. I was so insecure with myself, and I had so many burdens that I wasn't okay with. And so now that same cloud still hangs over the health and fitness, health and performance space. And I want to bring Jesus in. And when you bring Jesus into that, what happens is you create healing. You create opportunity to have this. So over the course of a weekend, we're going to sweat. We're going to do things. We're going to run distances that a lot of men have never run before. We're going to move weight that a lot of men have never run, have never moved before. We're going to go to heart rate zones that a lot of these men have never gone before. But guess what's going to happen? They're going to live through it. They're going to be okay on the other end. They're going to accomplish things that they haven't done before. And it's going to reignite the man that's in them. It's going to reignite the fact that they are okay. It's going to reignite the fact that they are worthwhile. It's going to reignite the fact that they are worth something, what their identity is. And when they have an identity that matters, that's when you're able to heal your porn addiction. That's when you're able to heal that relationship addiction. That's when you're able to lay whatever burden you're coming in with at the feet, at the cross, and be able to move relieved, redeemed, leaving something new.
My God. Can you see why I'm in Miami? I didn't even know why I was coming to Miami. Other when Justin called me and said, TD, I need you to come down to Miami. I'm like, all right, I'm there. Oh, wait, what are we doing? What are we doing? That's the kind of guy you want to hang out. You talk about iron sharpens iron. Man, Justin, I got to tell you, and we talked a couple months ago about coming down. I don't even know if we talked about what Redeemed was, other than I'll be there. If I could be in your corner, I'm there. And I'm really excited to be part of the event and do a little bit of talking, but really just to be part of the event because, I see so many different events going on now, right? And even men's events. And there's a lot of different ways that men can get together. And one thing that I know that you and I are both aligned with is how faith is intertwined with physicality and family and that stuff. And I applaud you on that. I really do, because it's not easy to put on an event. It's not easy to gather people, men or women. I love your vision, and I'm really excited for this upcoming weekend. Obviously, by the time that you listen to this, it's over, but I know there'll be more, correct?
Yes. Yeah. We're looking at doing these once a quarter.
Yep.
And Miami obviously being a hub where
We come to
I'm
San Diego. We're going to one in San Diego, right?
But yes, the goal is to start doing them all over the country.
So San Diego, SoCal, be ready to go. We're having a redeemed event coming up here in 2024, and by the time you listen to this, I'll have the download and all that. So I'm really, really excited. And last but not least, and maybe the most impactful thing that you've done up to this point, we got a big book coming out here in April 2024. Justin has his big book, The Power of Ownership book, coming out. And tell us about that, Justin, because it's not out yet, but it is available. What's it all about?
Yeah, so it's been, to be honest with you, TD, out of everything I've done so far, I would say this is one of the things that I'm most proud of. In writing this book, again, when I tell you that I've just been so connected with God, I have a transformational experience about 5 years ago, just in hearing the voice of God and being obedient to that. Somebody asked me on a podcast the other day, what is your superpower? And I just blurted out obedience. It just doing things that don't make sense, doing things just like when I hear, I act.
Yeah.
And Rich actually says the definition of spiritual maturity is shortening the time between hearing God's voice and taking your first step.
One more time, say it again.
The definition for spiritual maturity is shortening the time between hearing God's voice and taking your first step.
Yep. And when you say Rich, I know who you're talking about.
Sorry.
But who is Rich?
My pastor, one of my good dear friends, Pastor Rich Wilkerson, who pastors down here at VU. And we'll be able to spend some time together.
And interesting enough, when Justin did call me and tell me who else is going to be involved, I was like, wait, I know that guy. And the reason I knew that guy was because I'll often also listen to Pastor Stephen Furtick. Furtick's up where Luke and my son Brady are, up outside the Charlotte area. And Stephen Furtick, whenever he's not there, sometimes has brought in this guy. And sometimes when another pastor comes in, you're like, oh gosh, who's he bringing in, right? When Dr. J does their miles, I'll be like, who's he bringing in? And the one time Furtick brought in this guy, Rich Wilkerson, I'm like, this guy's pretty darn good. I took notes. I still have my notes in my phone. And then a few months later, Pastor Furtick was out again and Rich was back. I'm like, I like this guy.
Yeah.
I like this guy. I didn't even know what VU Church was, other than I like this guy who's filling in. And then you told me Rich Wilkerson. I'm like, I know that name. Oh, he's at VU Church in Miami? So guess what? I'm here in Miami with Redeemed. I'm excited to meet and spend some time with Rich. And I know your relationship with Rich is really, really close, but he's doing great things down here, I know. So keep going. It's an interesting how the whole world conspires when you get some good men and women together.
When alignments come before assignments, it's crazy to see what happens.
Preach.
And so when I talk about this, is I had written this book and I was so excited about it. And all of a sudden I woke up in the middle of the night, and this is 3-4 weeks before my publisher needs the final
manuscript.
And I heard God's voice loud and clear. He goes, that was not the book I told you to write.
Stop.
I woke, I couldn't go back to sleep. And I opened my eyes in the morning, kind of in and out throughout the night. And I go, I'm just going to turn it in anyway.
You're like, that's not you, God. That's not you, God. Who's talking to me right now?
I'm just going to turn it in anyways. All morning. That's not the book I told you to write. I did my quiet time in my sauna. I was like, maybe it'll go away. Maybe it was just a bad dream. Nope, that was it.
Stop.
And at first, pissed. I'm upset.
Yeah.
I'm like, man.
How much time did it take you? How long?
3.5 months of
3.5 months
pure
of intense,
writing. Real writing. We're talking 6-7 hours a day of intense thought and planning. Not writing every day,
I get it.
but download,
thought,
thinking,
energy. Yep, I get it.
Having paper around.
I'm in the middle of it right now. Yep,
So,
keep going.
I'm like, are you kidding me? So, in true Justin fashion, dramatic, I grabbed the manuscript and I toss this thing. I toss it. I'm just so upset. After I went and picked up all the pages, I came back inside. I said,
and Elise is like, what are you doing?
What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?
What are you doing?
I came back inside and I was like, all right, it's time to go. Took 10 days completely off. I said, Elise, you have to take everything over for 10 days. I'm shutting down. I have to rewrite this thing. And I cut and I pasted, and I had a table, it was 12 feet long, about 6 feet wide. All these pages laid out, stories crossing out, cutting, pasting, moving around. It looked like an absolute like train wreck. And someone would come in, I said, just don't touch the pages. Just don't touch the pages. Working it all around. And 10 days later, it's this new thing. And I gave it to Elise, and she cried when she read it. She's like, this is incredible. Like, where did this come from? I said, I don't know. It wasn't me.
Yep.
And that's why I'm so excited about it, because everything I've just talked to you about with Own It, everything I've talked about living a life by design, everything I've just talked about of being able to live intentionally on purpose with consistency, everything I've just talked about with HRV, everything I've just talked about with understanding your body, everything I've just talked about with the 8 controllables, the 8 foundational principles, all of these things. I know we'll do another show that dives deeper into these, but everything is in there, and it just makes sense, and it's digestible, and it's entertaining, and it's empowering, and the feedback that's coming back on this book is just incredible. And so I could not be more excited about it.
How much of the original book is in it now?
40%.
Wow. So less than half.
Yeah, 40%.
Sounds like you have another book coming out in late 24.
So you want to know the funny part? You want to know the funny part? John Gordon.
Love JG.
John Gordon said to me, he goes, Justin, that's a blessing, because you've got now book in 2 and 3.
No, it's hard. I already thought about it. 100%.
He goes, you've got books 2 and 3 already done.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, you're right.
Yeah.
Man, you're right. He goes, isn't that how God would work?
Yeah.
He asked you to write a book, and he gave you 3.
Well, what's funny about that is so many times some of the best-selling books out there are ones that someone wakes up in the middle of the night with a download, and they go almost manic for a very short period of time and write it in your case, a little more than manic, 10 days, or even if it's 10 weeks, but it's a short period of time on that. And so many times when people are writing books, you think it's got to take a year or 5. And sometimes it does. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. But sometimes you have a voice overcome you and say, this is your book. And you can't even go to sleep because you become so excited and inspired that your life is consumed in every waking hour outside of even work. If you've got a full-time job and you're writing on weekends and evenings until 2 a.m, and you've got to get it on paper while you're downloading, and you go into this almost like a manic state of, I've got to share this. Yeah. So that's big. Where, and I'll put it in the show notes as well for all you listeners, but if someone wanted to go get the book now and pre-order it, I know it's not coming out till April 23rd on that. Where do they go? What's the site?
Yeah, thepowerofownershipbook.com.
Thepowerofownershipbook.com. I'll put it in the show notes, but get it now, and you're going to be guaranteed to get it before or on April 23rd, and you'll see everything that Justin talked about here today, and then some, way more and then some. I know when you recently shared the copy with me, it's really awesome to read. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is crazy, really good, and I'm excited to read more of it and all of it, and have our readers listen to it as well. What are you most excited for with the book?
To be honest, just empowering people. I love to be able to empower and equip. Yep. When you can empower and equip somebody, they are able to now have hope. They can see a new reality. They can see something different. I talk about this word, right? Like, so Own It is our brand, but then our tagline is Own Your Different.
That's it.
And when you think about this, we're all so unique. We're all so individual, but the world has told us we need to do what everybody else is doing. And within this book, it equips you with the information, the knowledge, and the understanding. It's one thing to know something, but you still have to be convinced to do it. It's a whole nother thing to understand it, because now you're convicted. And so that's what this does, is it brings you to a state of conviction. You can look and look away, but once you see, you can't unsee. And we truly take the cataracts off the eyes. We take the fogginess out of the brain and truly bring you into a new state of understanding so that we can empower and equip you to live and experience life differently.
Yeah. Well, it's really 20 years of synthesizing all that you have been doing and all who you are into an amazing work that I highly encourage you to get the book now. Don't wait till April 23rd to get it now. And that's going to help Justin help more people, because he and his wife are giving back in great ways. And you'll hear more of that as we discuss in our next episode when we do that after the book comes out. But just get the book now. One of the things I'll share about the book that I'm excited for is for people's lives to get better, right? Like, and I love that. What are you planning on doing? Because I'm just a couple months behind you in a book coming out. But what are you planning on doing around the book? Are you planning on doing any book tours or podcasts on the book? I'm curious, because again, I'm a few months behind you when my latest project comes out. But what are you looking at doing for the book?
Yeah, so we've got an entire team that's set up right now, that's activating this, and so I'll be on about. So far, we've got about 55 podcasts booked between
55. Yeah. My goodness.
Yeah, just between now and June.
Wow.
And then I'm trying to do a lot in person and tag them with
Sure.
my speaking engagements.
Yep.
The cool thing that we've been doing, I can give you more on this too, but I waive all my speaking fees for organizations, teams, masterminds, groups that bulk book buy. So
Yep.
they buy 100 books or more. I waive my speaking fee, and I'll come in and I'll give a keynote, I'll give a workshop, whatever that is, to pour into the audience to get this resource in people's hands. And so that's really what my big focus is within the business, and my sole real responsibility for the next 4 or 5 months is just being able to get out there and allow people to see it. And when they get this resource in their hands, again, just give them something, a tool that is able to now be used and continually come back to you. You know, there's a lot of books that you read and you're like, man, those are really good. It motivated me.
Yeah.
But it motivated you for a moment.
Yep.
This is something that is able to now stay with you. This is truly a tool that equips you, that you'll come back to over and over and over and over and over again, because it's going to grow with you, because the season you are in today is not the season you're going to be in tomorrow, or even next week or next month or next year. But you can still come back to the principles and philosophies that are taught in this, so that you can now again change and live differently based upon whatever life throws your way.
Not that you need to, but will there be a book launch team?
Yeah, there will be.
There will be.
Yep.
So it's early enough when this comes out to still be part of the book launch team.
Exactly.
I'll put all of that in the show notes. If you want to be on the book launch team, there's a lot of bonuses I'm sure you're going to get for being on the book launch team, including you're going to get parts of the book before the book even comes out.
Exactly.
So get on the book launch team. Be part of the advocates that are going out and spreading light into the universe.
Whole resource library.
Bingo.
You're gonna have a whole.
I knew it. Yeah, I figured you're doing that.
You'll have a whole bunch of things in the vault. You'll have early access to the book.
Yep.
You'll actually get access to. We're doing some live trainings that I will do specifically for our book launch team.
Yep.
So it's going to be a really cool group. And then there's even some special bonuses where everybody who's on the book launch team will go into a raffle. There'll be 3 big draws. 1, you'll actually work with me one-on-one for a month. 2, you'll actually be able to bring your own cohort. So create your own cohort. It could be your friends, it could be your family, it could be whoever, and we'll actually work together for a month. And then the third one is to bring me out, and it can just be a day with you at your home. It could be that I come in and speak to your company. It could be come and speak to your family. It could be come and speak to your team, whatever that looks like.
Man, I gotta step it up, man. You're stepping up the game, brother. Thank you. That's called iron sharpens iron right there.
A lot of things.
Thank you. I'll put all of the information, if you want that, in the show notes. If nothing else, get the darn book. Get the book on that. Listen, I know you have a big event kicking off tomorrow.
You know
it's
what?
now after 9 p.m.
I've got an event, but you're going to be the one working. So.
Well, I'm excited, and I'm really excited for Redeemed and all that you and Elise are doing, and the vision that you're now executing. So thank you for opening up your home and having me in here today on that. I'll end with this. This is the Impact Show. Impact to me is legacy. Impact is the way we live every single day. What does impact mean to you?
Impact means living with a deep level of consistency and intentionality. And when you can be consistent in your behaviors, when you can be consistent in your habits, when they're rooted in intentionality, it's impossible not to create impact.
You heard it here, right from the home of Justin Roethlingshoefer. You're going to want to make sure you forward this podcast on to all your friends, family, and those in your community. Go to thepowerofownershipbook.com. Get the book. Take a look at the show notes. In the show notes, I've got all the links on how you can link up with Justin and all the amazing things that he's doing. We've got some big plans here in 2024, both individually as well as together. That's part of the reason why I'm down here in Miami here as we get ready to go into Redeemed over the next few days, and with the team of people he's bringing in and some of the things we got later in 2024. It's going to be an awesome year. So Justin, my friend, thank you so much on so many levels. And my friends, that's a wrap right here from Miami, Florida. The Impact Show has gone to Florida and Miami, and I'm really excited to do that here from Justin's home. So without further ado, remember, train hard, eat right, live inspired, and go create impact.
Attention trainers, coaches, and fit pros, do I have an awesome opportunity for you? On Thursday, April 25th, I will be doing a free webinar all on success. You're going to want to be in this webinar. Sign up. It does require a sign up so that I can drop my 5 different ways for you to achieve success in the fitness industry. I realize that you can't keep doing what you've always been doing to get you to where you want to go. And I'm going to give you all of the knowledge that I have that's going to take for you and me and us in the industry to really maximize the impact. Maybe you're ready to grow. If so, be on the webinar. Maybe you're stuck, stalled, or frustrated. If so, be on the webinar. Maybe you feel like you're on an island and you don't have the network of people around you, then you definitely want to be on the webinar on Thursday, April 25th. Or perhaps you're just looking for some more energy. Maybe you're even exhausted or burnt out. You're definitely going to want to be on this webinar on Thursday, April 25th, 12 noon on the left coast, 3 o'clock on the right coast. Be on the webinar. All you have to do is sign up. Sign up. Go to todddurkin.com. todddurkin.com. You can also take a look at all the details on my Instagram in the link tree. On Instagram, all the details. Sign up. I'll email you all of the details so you can be live on the webinar with me. And I'm going to provide a 20-minute Q&A session as well to any question you have. What I want to make sure, business, leadership, in the trenches, your personal growth, all is going to be on this webinar. So be there on Thursday, April 25th, live webinar, and sign up. Oh, and but one more thing. If you sign up and you can't make it live, I will send you the replay, the recording. But you have to sign up. Otherwise, I don't have your email list. So sign up, be there live. If you can't be there live, I'll send you the recording Thursday, April 25th, todddurkin.com. I'll see you.